Mama Ema, she started. Please, can you show me the market where you buy your foodstuffs? Because I see that your food is so cheap that even children can afford it. Silence. For a moment, nothing moved. Then, Mama Ema's face darkened. Her brows pulled together. Her lips twisted in disgust. What nonsense are you vomiting from your mouth? She snapped, her voice sharp like a knife. Mama Bisi stepped back, startled. Is this why you said you wanted to see me? Mama Ema continued, her voice rising. To insult me? To question my business? Nobody understood why Mama Ema's food was different. In the bustling streets of Abema, where the sun painted golden streaks over the crowded market, food sellers lined the roads. Smoke rose from hot grills, pots bubbled with spicy soups, and voices filled the air with loud calls to passing customers. But only one restaurant had people abandoning their businesses, changing their routes, and fighting for a plate. Mama Ema's. Her pepper soup wasn't just spicy, it wrapped itself around your tongue, making you crave more. Her jollof rice. One bite, and you'd swear you tasted something different. Something that made your body warm, your mind light, your feet refused to leave until you had eaten your fill. Was it just good cooking? Or was there something else? Traders left their stalls without realizing it. Students who had just eaten at home suddenly found themselves hungry again. Even tired bus drivers who had planned to go straight home made detours, just for one bite. Strangers who had never heard of her before found their feet moving toward the scent, their stomachs tightening with hunger they didn't have minutes ago. Mama Ema stood behind her steaming pots, stirring, her lips curling into a small, knowing smile. She knew. She knew why her food called to people like a whisper in the wind. She knew the secret, and if anyone ever found out, it could destroy everything. Mama Ema's food wasn't just popular. It was unstoppable. Every morning, before the sun fully stretched over Abema, her restaurant was already packed. Customers didn't just come, they ran. Workers, students, traders, even rich men in flashy cars lined up, their eyes burning with one need. A taste. The first bite sent warmth down their spines. The second made their eyes close in pleasure. By the third, they forgot where they were. Nobody understood why. Was it the pepper soup? The jollof rice? The crispy golden chicken? Or was it something else? Whatever it was, one plate was never enough. Soon, people stopped cooking at home. Why waste time in the kitchen when Mama Ema's food existed? Why struggle over fire when her restaurant was right there, calling to them like a song they couldn't ignore? The news spread like wildfire. Bus conductors shouted it in their calls. First stop, Mama Ema's. If you never chop for there, you never sobby food. Workers whispered it in offices. Forget that fancy restaurant. Mama Ema's food will make you forget your own name. Students skipped school just to have a bite. Even women who once prided themselves on their cooking began to worry. They saw their husbands rush to her restaurant every morning. They saw their children licking their lips after every meal. And deep down they felt it. Something wasn't right. Something about Mama Ema's food was too good to be normal. And for the first time, whispers of doubt began to spread. Was this just good cooking? Or was it something else? The restaurant buzzed with life that morning. Plates clattered, spoons scraped against bowls, and the rich aroma of spices filled the air. Every seat was taken. Customers leaned over their plates, savoring each bite like it was their last. Then, a man wiped his mouth, leaned back, and chuckled. Mama Ema, do you know I no longer eat at home before coming to the market? Laughter erupted around him. True, my brother, a woman chimed in, shaking her head. It's even cheaper and better than cooking at home. Why stress over firewood and gas when Mama Ema has already done the work for us? Nods of agreement spread through the crowd. Some smiled, others laughed, but none of them stopped eating. Their hands kept moving, scooping rice, dipping spoons into pepper soup, tearing into chicken. Mama Ema stood behind her counter, stirring a fresh pot of soup, her lips curling into a smile. This was what she wanted. She didn't just want customers. She wanted devotion. And she had it. Her food wasn't just delicious. It was irresistible. Her food wasn't just affordable. It was addicting. People no longer hesitated before spending money at her restaurant. They didn't compare prices, didn't complain about eating out every day. They just came. Morning, afternoon, evening. Their feet led them to her doorstep, their stomachs ruled their minds. But as she turned to serve another plate, she noticed something. A man in the corner, staring at his food, his brows furrowed. He hadn't touched his plate, while others ate like their lives depended on it. He was thinking. Mama Ema's grip tightened around her spoon. For the first time, someone wasn't just enjoying her food. He was questioning it, and that, she knew, was dangerous. There was a secret her customers didn't know, a secret known only to Mama Ema. While the world raved about her food, while men abandoned their wives' cooking, while children refused home meals, none of them knew what truly made her food irresistible. Because it wasn't just the spices, it wasn't just the fresh ingredients. It was the golden pot, hidden in a small, locked room behind her kitchen, far from the eyes of the curious, sat an old, worn-out pot. But this was no ordinary pot. This pot held the secret to Mama Ema's success. Inside it was something unimaginable. Dried, blended, powdered, excreta. Every morning, before the first light of dawn, Mama Ema would enter the room, her heart steady, her hands careful. She would lift the golden pot's lid and scoop a full plate of the fine, almost dust-like substance. Then, with quiet precision, she would sprinkle it into her bubbling food on the fire, stirring gently as it dissolved. And just like that, her food became more than food. It became a craving, a force no one could resist. Her customers didn't know. They couldn't know. All they tasted was the richness of the pepper soup, the perfection of the jollof rice, the tenderness of the chicken. All they felt was the need to return. But as Mama Ema stirred her pot that morning, her fingers tightening around the spoon, she thought about the man from yesterday. The one who didn't eat. The one who questioned. Her heart pounded, but she kept stirring, the golden pot's secret blending smoothly into the food. Because if anyone ever found out what she was doing, it wouldn't just ruin her business. It would destroy her. The crowd at Mama Ema's restaurant grew bigger every day. Nobody questioned anything. They didn't care. Her food was delicious. It was cheap. And to crown it all, Mama Ema was the kind of woman people loved. She wasn't just a food seller. She was a friend, a sister, a mother. She cracked jokes as she dished out steaming plates. She laughed loudly, her voice ringing through the air. She called her customers funny names: Big Man Rice, Pepper Soup Minister, Chief Chicken Chopper. And they loved it. Some people came before dawn just to collect a number. Others stood for hours in the long, winding queue, their stomachs growling, their hands clutching their money tightly. And then, there were those who couldn't wait. They didn't just eat, they worked. They grabbed dirty plates, rushed to the back, and washed them themselves just to return faster for another round. Mama Ema watched them with a smile. They had no idea. They didn't know that the food they were fighting for, the food they couldn't live without, had something more than just good spices. They didn't know about the golden pot. They didn't know about the secret. And as she stirred another pot of soup, her heart swelled with satisfaction. She had them exactly where she wanted them. But what Mama Ema didn't know was that someone was watching. And soon the secret she had buried so well would begin to crack open. Across the street, the other restaurants sat in painful silence. Pots of untouched food, empty seats, women staring hopelessly at steaming bowls of rice and soup that no one wanted. Every day it was the same. Mama Ema's restaurant overflowed with customers, men, women, children, fighting for a spot, licking their fingers, rushing to wash plates just to eat again. But not a single soul turned toward the other restaurants. Mama Bisi watched it all from her empty stall, her heart twisting with frustration. She had been patient. She had told herself it was just a phase. But this was no accident. Something was wrong. Her hands rested on her cheeks as she stared at the endless line stretching from Mama Ema's door. "This woman has done something," she murmured. Her voice was low, but the anger in it burned like fire. Her neighbors turned to her, curious. "Mama Bisi, what are you saying?" one of them asked. She turned to them, her face set with determination. "How can people flood her restaurant like this, morning till night, and nobody looks at us?" she hissed. "We all cook well. Some of us even better than her. But still they don't come." She shook her head, her hands gripping the edge of the table. "I must find out the cause," she whispered. Her eyes, once tired and defeated, now burned with suspicion. She didn't know what Mama Ema was doing, but she was going to find out. And when she did, the truth would shake the entire marketplace. The whispers started small. Soft murmurs in corners, hushed voices in the market, quiet glances exchanged between traders. "It's not normal," someone said. "No food should be that sweet." "I heard she's using something," another added, lowering their voice. But while the market buzzed with suspicion, Mama Ema's customers didn't care. Seated in her packed restaurant, they ate with pure satisfaction, their faces lighting up with every bite. "Ah, this food is heaven," one man groaned, licking his fingers. "Mama Ema, whatever you are putting inside this food, never stop," a woman laughed, scooping another spoonful of jollof rice. People around her chuckled, nodding in agreement. They had heard the rumors too. But did it matter? The taste, the warmth, the feeling that spread through their bodies with every bite. Nothing else mattered. Charm or no charm, they couldn't stop eating. Even those who once swore they wouldn't return found their feet, leading them back the moment hunger struck. It was like a spell, a force beyond their control. But as the laughter and clinking of spoons filled Mama Ema's restaurant, outside, hidden behind a stall, Mama Bisi watched. Her lips pressed into a thin line. Her fists clenched on her lap. The whispers weren't just rumors to her. She believed them. And now, more than ever, she was determined to prove them right. The evening breeze swept through the market as Mama Ema packed the last of her things. The day had been good, as always. Her customers had eaten to their fill. Some had even returned for extra plates, and the money in her purse was more than enough. Just as she was about to leave, she heard footsteps. Turning, she saw Mama Bisi walking toward her. "Good evening, Mama Ema," Mama Bisi greeted, forcing a smile. Mama Ema eyed her cautiously. "Good evening," she responded, her tone neutral. Mama Bisi hesitated for a moment, then cleared her throat. "Mama Ema," she started. "Please, can you show me the market where you buy your foodstuffs? Because I see that your food is so cheap that even children can afford it." Silence. For a moment, nothing moved. Then, Mama Ema's face darkened. Her brows pulled together. Her lips twisted in disgust. "What nonsense are you vomiting from your mouth?" she snapped, her voice sharp like a knife. Mama Bisi stepped back, startled. "Is this why you said you wanted to see me?" Mama Ema continued, her voice rising. "To insult me? To question my business?" The madness in her eyes burned like fire. Mama Bisi's breath hitched. Something was wrong. She had only asked a simple question. A harmless one. So why was Mama Ema so angry? Mama Bisi didn't wait to find out. She turned and fled for her life. As she ran, her heart pounded in her chest. Mama Ema's reaction was too much, too defensive, too strange. And in that moment, Mama Bisi knew. She was hiding something big, and no matter what it took, she was going to find out what it was. The market was changing. At first, it was just small complaints. "Ah, my stomach has been rumbling since morning," a trader whispered, rubbing her belly. "Mine too," another said, frowning. "I thought it was something I drank." Then, the whispers grew louder. People talked about sharp stomach pains, dizziness, skin rashes. Some even said they woke up in the middle of the night, gasping for air, their bodies burning with fever. But nobody traced it to Mama Ema's food. How could they? Her food was too good, too satisfying, too addictive. Even those who complained still found themselves lining up at her restaurant every morning. They would rub their aching stomachs, shake their heads and say, "Maybe it's stress," before eagerly grabbing a plate of her famous jollof rice or pepper soup. And the more the complaints spread, the more her customers increased. It made no sense. People should have been afraid. But instead, they craved her food even more. Mama Ema saw this. She noticed it all. And deep down she smiled. Because she knew the truth, they were too far gone. Her food wasn't just food anymore. It was a need. A hunger no one could resist. They could complain all they wanted. They could talk about sickness, pain, strange feelings in their bodies. But they would always come back. And as long as they did, Mama Ema had nothing to fear. Or so she thought. Because in the shadows, watching closely, waiting for the right moment, Mama Bisi was preparing to strike. As things always happen, Anything that has a beginning must have an end. And Mama Bisi was determined to bring that end to Mama Ema. The complaints were getting worse. People were falling ill. Some were too weak to work. Others said they felt strange things moving inside their bodies at night. And yet, every morning, they still rushed to Mama Ema's restaurant like hungry flies. Mama Bisi had seen enough. This was no longer about business. This was a battle for truth, a battle for justice, a battle for the innocent people who had no idea they were being poisoned. But this mission was dangerous. Mama Ema was not just any woman, she was powerful. Her influence in the market had grown beyond imagination. Even the traders who once doubted her now defended her fiercely. Mama Ema is the best cook in this market, they would say. Jealousy will not kill you, Mama Bisi, some mocked. But Mama Bisi didn't care. She didn't care about the mockery. She didn't care about the dangers ahead. She had one goal, to expose Mama Ema, even if it meant putting herself in danger, even if it meant staring death in the face. And so, under the cover of darkness, while the market slept, Mama Bisi began her investigation. She didn't know what she would find. She didn't know what horrors awaited her. But one thing was certain. The truth was closer than ever. And when it finally came out, the market would never be the same again. The sun was slowly rising, casting a warm glow over the bustling market. Mama Bisi had been watching closely from her restaurant, pretending to focus on her own business. But her real focus was on Mama Ema. From a distance, she saw the woman standing over her fire, stirring something as she always did. But today, something felt different. The way Mama Ema carefully handled the thing she was drying, the way she checked over her shoulder, the way she shielded the fire from wandering eyes, it all felt suspicious. I must see what Mama Ema is drying on that fire, Mama Bisi muttered under her breath. She waited patiently. She knew she had to be careful. If Mama Ema saw her snooping, it could ruin everything. Finally, an opportunity came. Mama Ema stepped inside her restaurant for a moment, leaving her fire unattended. This was her chance. Mama Bisi moved quickly but silently, weaving through the market unnoticed. When she reached the fire, she leaned in, her heart pounding. On the fire, a dark, crumbling substance sizzled lightly. Mama Bisi squinted. What kind of meat is this? Curiosity got the best of her. Slowly, she reached out and picked up a piece. It was dry and grainy, breaking apart between her fingers. Her stomach twisted. Something was wrong. She brought it closer to her nose, hesitated, then took a careful sniff. A sharp wave of nausea hit her. She knew the smell. Her hands began to shake. This wasn't meat. It was dried excreta. Mama Bisi dropped it instantly, stepping back in shock. Her mind raced. Why? Why would Mama Ema be drying excreta? A chilling thought crawled into her mind, sending goosebumps across her skin. Could this be the reason her food was so addictive? Could this be the secret behind her booming restaurant? Mama Bisi's legs felt weak. She needed answers. And no matter what it took, she was going to find out everything. The market was closing, and the streets were filled with weary traders, tired workers, and schoolchildren hurrying home. Shops were locking up. Pots and plates were being packed away. The chatter of the market was fading into the quiet hum of the evening. But Mama Bisi wasn't going home. Not yet. She had been waiting for this moment. She had seen Mama Ema drying the excreta on the fire earlier that day. Now, she needed to know what it was for. And so, with careful, silent steps, she made her way behind Mama Ema's kitchen. She found a small hole in the wooden wall, just enough to see through. Her hands trembled as she pressed her eye to the gap. At first, she saw only shadows moving around the kitchen. Then, Mama Ema stepped into view. She carried a golden bowl. The same golden bowl she always kept hidden. Mama Bisi held her breath. Slowly, Mama Ema lifted the cover. Inside was a dark, powdery substance. Mama Bisi's stomach tightened. It was the blended excreta. Mama Bisi covered her mouth, forcing herself not to scream. She watched in horror as Mama Ema scooped out a full plate of it. With a wicked smile, she turned to the large steaming pot on the fire, filled with tender, juicy meat. Then, she poured it in. The powder vanished into the stew, dissolving, mixing, disappearing as if it was never there. Mama Ema stirred carefully, humming to herself. She was preparing for the next morning. The food that people would line up for. The food that had the whole market under a spell. The food that was making people sick without them even knowing. Mama Bisi's legs shook. Her heart pounded so hard she thought Mama Ema might hear it. She had seen enough. She wanted to run, to scream, to warn everyone. But just as she turned to leave, a loud creak echoed behind her. Her foot had stepped on a loose piece of wood. Her blood ran cold. Inside the kitchen, Mama Ema's humming stopped. The room fell dead silent. Mama Bisi froze. And then, footsteps. Slow. Careful. Coming closer. Mama Ema was coming to check. Mama Bisi had only seconds to escape. If she got caught, what would Mama Ema do to her? Wow, what an amazing story. I believe you enjoyed the story. Please do not forget to like, subscribe, and share to as many people as possible. And if you want the part 2 of the story, kindly indicate by saying I want the part 2 in the comment section. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to turn on the notification bell to keep you updated when I upload the part 2 of the story. Until we meet again, stay tuned for part 2. Thank you.